Yeah, man. Shit, wins for me so far. I've been on the doors, all week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I've been
Yeah.
getting results yesterday. Um,
How many
got my
leads you
teeth
got, bro?
fixing a little
You
bit.
must have like 10 leads or something. 15.
No, so far I got two. Today, what am I doing today? Today I'm linking up with Renardo, and then he has a new recruit that he brought along that's gonna be tagging along with us. So I'll be out there today and hunting for more leads. But so far I got two set.
Nice. All right, cool, dog. Keep it up. Um,
Yeah.
I'll go since I got it in my head. Yesterday I had an appointment in like South Central, and they have just like unpermitted shacks in the back. Like they have 8 people living there, so it's kind of crazy. And I don't think I'm gonna move forward. However, my builder that set up that appointment, he upgraded prior to the appointment. My intention was to meet with him, sign him up, or upgrade him to a builder, run do the proposal, and then go to the house. While I was driving there, I got an email saying that he already did that part of upgrading to a builder. So, that was good. I had another appointment fall through later on at night. This dude ended up almost going to jail, so it's understandable. Um, yeah, so yeah, he got pulled over. He didn't pay his child support. Said his license was suspended, etc. So I was like, all right, I've been there. All right, cool, dog. Well, we're gonna meet up, but we talked about the cell phone industry and where it's gone in the past 10 years, and it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see 10 years from now what type of situation you're going to be in. Do you believe that, high paying commission is the solution to your issue, to your problems? And he said, yeah. All right, well, we can't sleep on this because the cost of doing nothing is too much, and we got this mentor factory coming up that you could purely take advantage of. So rescheduled with him for tomorrow. I got an appointment for today at 5 o'clock, an Arizona deal. I reached out to the utility out there just to understand how they work. Right, I haven't sold a deal in this Unisource utility, and I need to find out if they need a battery. Their kilowatt hours is about 15, 16 cents. Turns out they do need a battery, so I'm like, gosh, dude, this is gonna be a little bit tougher deal. But yeah, I'm going into it. At the end of the day, it's not my decision; it's the customer's decision. And I'm going in with like a 70% offset, no battery. Um, they buy their electricity at 15, 16 cents, and the utility sells it back to them for 6 cents. So there's obviously a little rake there. It's not in the customer's best interest to store it on the grid. Therefore, that's why batteries make sense. Kind of like here, the biggest difference is over here it's 39 cents. It's real easy to show some savings even with the battery. Over there, you throw in a battery and they're paying more. So it's a little bit of a pickle, but at the end of the day, I'm like, look, we'll take care of 50 to 70% of your energy, and you could reap the reward of a tax credit and have no inflation on that portion of your bill. Up to them. What else I got going on? I got this training that's pretty exciting. So today, any other quick wins? Today, by the way, we're going to be going over Ricardo Ritchie. Who here is a veteran, has done some presentations? Has anybody here seen Ricardo Ritchie's presentation portion of his training?
No, sir.
Okay. Yeah.
No, I haven't seen that.
Okay, it's fire, dog. He gives you short glimpses of it when you see him in an event on his framework. And bro, like this is probably like my favorite segment so far in the training. And it pretty much just lays the foundation. So you tie it into your presentation, you're gonna be like, oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense. I'm gonna implement that, or I'm gonna implement this. Or like last week's training, I showed Andy Elliott's his real basic his door knocking approach. So me, I feel like I just add this, take out that. But for presentation, this is straight fire today. Maybe not everyone on here is at the stage of giving presentations, and that's okay because I feel like even when I was new, or I feel like everyone that's new, they want to see everything. So here it is. Um, But you will get there. You know, it doesn't happen overnight. For me, it took a couple years. You know, I was managing my other business, helping my girls with her business, working a job. So it took a while, but at the end of the day, fast forward to, you know, you start off, you're going through, you know, you start up, you go through quick start. Um, you know, you hit up your 200 people, and then it's like, okay, we're getting traction, we're not getting traction. And then you just got to think, like, just keep it simple. We're just collecting bills. Collect some freaking bills and set appointments. But if you keep on doing that, you know, piquing their interest, collecting bills, saying appointment, eventually you'll be able to sell on your own. You see the light at the end of the tunnel. Yes, it seems far, but fast forward today, I'm there. I'm at the mentor position. It's super exciting, and everyone can get there if they just keep it super simple. So eventually you do want to sell on your own. Eventually you do want to be a mentor and close to other people. And Ricardo Ritchie's straight fire training on presentation when you are ready. So let's get in. So that's what we're going to do today. And honestly, I'm going to rewatch it too. I watched it one time. I'm going to watch it right now with you guys. I'm probably going to watch it like 2 or 3 more times because it is straight fire. This dude, Ricardo Ritchie, closes, I don't know, like 500 deals a year. Maybe 300 by himself, you know, all with the door knocking team, set appointments, but he's just like a beast when it comes to presentation. So anybody, 1 minute wins for whoever I didn't catch.
Okay, so I'll share a bit. I got a person that I met at the gym. He was a homeowner. We sparked the conversation, and turns out that he's a homeowner and he pays about $800 to $900 for electricity with Edison. He's been in the market for solar. He called Tesla and Sunrun, and he's open to get on a Zoom. I spoke to him yesterday on the phone, and just today I followed up with a text so we can coordinate an appointment. The tax person that I've been mentioning, we already have her bill. I have her proposal already prepared. We're giving her a great deal. It's a $6,000 commission. If we can sell the deal, she's getting $18,000 as a federal tax credit. She's a tax person. That's her main reason why she wants to do solar. She's gonna get 18,000 instead of paying taxes. She can now benefit from getting a fixed payment on solar. She has like close to a $500 bill. The most she's gonna pay even after the 18 months is $350. So that's still a good deal for her. She's paying 39 cents price per kilowatt. So that's very high, right? So we have an appointment for Thursday at 4 p.m. with that. Those are 2 new personals, and I'm working on a couple other ones. I'm actually looking at a bill right now from a new recruit from Arizona, and I'll show you the bill. I haven't sold here. Is in Tucson Electric Power, so that'll be kind of cool. So that's what I'm working on right now. This is the new bill.
Okay.
$577 bill. The guy, he already calculated the bill, and it's 17,500 kilowatts for the year. So I'm trying to work on building the proposal right now.
Sure. And do you know how that utility works as far as buybacks and stuff like that? I know generally when we talk about net metering 3.0, we're talking about Edison, PG&E, and SDG&E. But sometimes you never know. You know, they may have some rules.
Yeah. So this one, we're comparing it to another proposal that they got. So I'm gonna compare if they're offering them batteries or not. We're gonna find that out there, but I am definitely gonna do a research because again, I haven't sold here. What is this? Arizona? Yeah, Arizona. So the last one was in what is the other one? Lake Havasu. That's also Arizona.
Correct.
Yeah. So the other one didn't go with a battery, and they wanted 100% offset. So it was a mega system, but this one, yeah, we're gonna work on it today. So those are my wins for today, for now.
All right, dope, bro. Yep. So all you gotta do is just call, you know, to everybody when you're dealing with a different utility, just call the utility. Say, hey, what's the buyback? Or are people usually are people going with batteries? And just, you know, pick their brain. so you have a better understanding, so you sound more confident during your presentation. All right, so let's get into this, guys. I'm gonna share my screen. I lost it. 1 sec.
Hey, Dave, I want just really quick, 10 seconds. Have you guys read this book yet? Oh, I can't see it. The one JC has in the office, The Building an Empire.
Oh, I wish, man. I see it all the time. How is it?
Bro, it's amazing,
Oh
dog.
my God. That's
If
why you're on fire this morning.
Bro, if you're looking to build, you gotta read that book, guys. Building an Empire. I'll show you while you get your screen ready.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't take away from your time.
Yeah, go for it.
But no, last week's training was fire, bro. But check this out. Building an Empire. This book is amazing. If you don't have it and you guys are looking to build, you're missing out. This is amazing. Now,
is there an audio? Have you found an audio online? Because I tried going on like Pirate Bay trying to find it, and I couldn't find it. So I don't know if there's a paid platform I could buy it from.
I don't know, but I like to read because, look, I like to take my notes on every page to keep myself intact. And next time I come back, you know, I just add to my notes. Every sticky note has a number. So like page 71 only. I don't care if it's one line.
Yeah.
But next time I read it, I'll either add to it or whatever. But it's an amazing book, bro. It's worth the read. Even if it's just 10 pages a day. Minimum. I do 10 pages a day. That's it.
Okay. That makes sense. I'm going to do that, Johnny. Yeah, man. For me, I'm just so short on time, bro. Man, my girl got me cleaning the house. I got a baby. I'm doing so much all day. I got, you know, another kid that I got to pick up from school, take her to cheer. So it gets crazy. But 10 pages, it's easy to do. But it's even easier not to. So we got to, you know, be disciplined like Johnny. Take notes, everyone. All right, so I'm going to share my screen. All right, you let me know if you don't hear me no more. You're all good? So this is the build, what do they call this? Build VT, build virtual training. It's in your back office. Go ahead and sign up. There's tons of value here. We'll get to the main page. So not only we could sell solar, we could sell water, we sell ADT, but we have tons of trainings that's normally people charge thousands of dollars implemented in our back office. Tons of value here just in this training. Like I'm going to recruit another solar pro just for this training portal. If he wants to do a deal with us, he might. You know, I've been dripping on him for so long. He said he's set in stone with Skyline and Downey, and he runs a door knocking team, but he sees value in the way JC builds a team. He's like, I'm like, man, you know, also, I told him, someone reached out to me, by the way, and they asked me, that, you know, one of those lead generators. Any of them ever message you guys on Facebook or Instagram?
All the time.
All the time. Yeah, and I never answer because it looks like they're not even from the country, and I know they're trying to hack me or something. So, this dude, he's persistent. He's been texting me for like a year. I not responded once. He texted me again yesterday. And he put, hey, David, if you don't mind answering a question, how do you get your leads right now? It's door to door, or you are already using any system right now. So I've looked into lead generating, and then that just made me think, like, you know, like when it comes to like metrics and how I conduct my business and where I get my leads from. I know JC's, you know, warm market type network marketing. There's people that do door knocking. There's people that are on social media. So I just want to break that down for myself. And I responded to him. I said, hey, bro, you're super consistent, by the way, like clapping hands. And then I put 50% referrals from my warm market or my team's warm market. Okay, because, you know, I look up to my mentor, and that's what he taught me to do, build a team. So I'm like, okay. I'm like, that looks pretty good. And then I put 15% social media, 10% live events, 15% door-to-door, and 10% everyday strangers. So now that I wrote that to him, and then, you know, he texted me something else, and I still didn't respond. But maybe I'll see if he can shoot me some free leads so we can test them out. That might be a deal. Anyways, that just helps me put into perspective what areas I may need to work on. You know, maybe I need to boost up my social media because there's a lot of leverage in social media, right? Like you do one post, you reach thousands. I'm only getting 15% for social media, maybe even less. These are just generic numbers I put here. But yeah, so, you know, we're in the door knocking training. Here's the presentation training from Ricardo Ritchie. We got about 30 minutes. Super fire. I recommend everybody take notes. Take notes now, rewatch it later, take some more notes, because if you master your presentation, like the way he frames this, he's like, if he won't continue the conversation if they're not in his frame. And you'll see all that right now. So there we go. So it's going to start with this personal belief, and we'll just get into these videos. And let's do it. You all see my screen, right?
A lot of times I get
Can't hear nothing. I think you're muted.
Got it. All right, so let me stop sharing the screen. Hold up. Stop. My bad. You can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna put share. Share sound, optimize. All right, I just clicked these two things. Let's see if this works. How about now? Give me a thumbs up.
everybody that's watching this, everybody that's been in sales knows that all sales comes down to belief. And so you have to be the first one to actually believe what you can do. A lot of times we tend to look at our surroundings and look at what guys around us are producing, what my office is producing, and kind of benchmark off of that. A lot of the time I say, look at yourself in the mirror. And most of you guys, I would assume, and I know when I started for sure, I thought I could do a lot more and I thought there was a lot on the table. Sometimes I struggle because I saw everybody else doing regular numbers and I thought that is normal, right? When you really look at what you think you're capable of, and you're the only one that actually knows what they want to push to and what you think you're capable of, then look at yourself and be like, what do I really want to do here? Like, what do I really want to achieve? For example, when I first got into solar, I came from pest and I was used to selling 50, 60 pest control deals a week. That is normal. You'll go 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 in a day. That's pretty normal in pest. I came to solar and I kept being told, hey, you can, if you do 10 deals a month, it's unbelievable. If you can do 8 a month consistently, that's a lot of money. If you can do 12 a month consistently, it's great. And so a lot of you guys will get conditioned by people outside of you and your environment into believing that 10 a month is great, 12 a month is great, even though you're probably capable of doing a lot more, 20, 30, 40, 50. I would say one of the things I've done early on that's been one big catalyst for the numbers I've been able to achieve is just question these things. Me coming from another industry, when I was told all I had to do was sell 10 a month, breaking down 2 to 3 a week, and I was used to sell 60 a week, my thought process was, if I can sell 60 of these, why can't I not sell 60 solar deals a week, or 10 or 20 or 30? Why is it 2? Why is it 3? So be really careful about what your mindset tells you and what you actually believe it to be true. Because I bet you a lot of you guys have so much more potential than what you're actually doing, but you're just accepting a standard for yourself that's just not where you need to be. I've seen it in my office where I started really implementing the standard I put on myself onto others. And we've had a lot of guys come into our organization and they were used to doing 3 a month, 5 a month, 6 a month, 7 a month. And that's just because they were told that that's what they should be doing. They were really capable of going to 20, 30, 40, 50 a month. Nobody ever pushed them or told them that they could do it. And so we've seen plenty of people come in, and when I tell them, hey, you need to be doing 30 a month. You can't be doing 10, you can't be doing 15, like 20 to 30 is standard. You can do 40, you can do 50. They will shift their belief, raise their belief of what's actually possible, and they will see other people do it. And like clockwork, we have guys start doing 20, 30, 40 a month. They were always able to do that all along. They were just adopting the wrong mindset and the wrong frame of mind. They were just allowing other people and their surroundings to tell them what they can do, as opposed to deciding for themselves what's possible. I bet you guys, if any of you actually look yourself in the mirror and understand, what am I doing right now? If I triple or quadruple my effort, could I achieve 3, 4, 5x the results? Absolutely you could. So just be really careful about who you allow to be your role model and what mental framework you actually accept, as opposed to look at the standards outside and just try to max out no matter what. If I had accepted a 10 a month, 15 a month as being the max or being normal, I would have never been able to achieve the numbers I've achieved. And that is just from coming to a point of maxing out mentality. At the end of the day, I always tell my guys, I don't necessarily care about how much I sell every month. I don't care about how much they sell every month. All you have to care about is the inputs you put in. As long as you're maxing out on what your inputs are, maxing out the amount of work and the amount of push that you put into it, whether you sell 5 or whether you sell 60 in a month, it doesn't matter. But you have to know that you're maxing out, and by default, if you're really maxing out, your numbers will double and triple. A lot of the times you will pace to a low number. And so if my goal was 8 in a month and I get to 6 within 1 week, what will happen is I will take the next 3 weeks to do 2 more deals because I will pace, right? But if my goal is every single day I max out, I work as much as I can, and I try to push and compete against myself, not on sold deals and not on numbers, but on hours, on work, on mindset, as long as I can max that out, your numbers will follow by default. So be really careful of what you let into your head and the belief system that you adopt, because that will dictate your production big time.
There's probably people on this Zoom that's maxing out at 2 phone calls a day, huh? Maybe 1 or none. All right, I'm just gonna. I can't see I can't see you guys. Does anybody want to give me like a clue on how to do this? Is there a button I could push? I don't see nobody. Is it this one? Show meeting. I just want to make this thing like smaller. No. All right, cool. Well, I'm just gonna continue. I'm not looking at you guys. So if you guys if you can't hear anything, just get off of mute and jump in because I can't see nobody.
Hey, brother. So if you go to the top right corner where you can minimize the window, you see
This
a
one?
button that says View, and you should be able to change the layout there.
What do you mean, top right corner? Am I
Yep,
there?
all the way at the top right where you can X the window out, X minimize and maximize. Right to the left of those buttons, you'll see like a green shield with a check mark.
I don't see nothing.
Oh, it's because you're sharing your screen then. When you're sharing your screen, it goes full screen by default.
Yeah, normally I like to see like a little window of you guys. View. All right, whatever. I'm just not. I can't see you guys. So just if you want to interrupt.
Right there where you see where there's a small what is it, like the box where the little screen is at. There should be on the corner. You should be able to put add, and you should be able to see the next screen.
So weird. It's never done this. All right, well, screw it. I'm just gonna play this thing. You guys interrupt. Go off of mute if you need to interrupt. Cool.
Yep.
All right, guys, the most important thing about the presentation is actually the mindset that you have going into it. The biggest mistake I see a lot of sales reps making is walking into the presentation and allowing the customer and the situation to dictate the way they act. The most important thing you can do is have a clear step-by-step plan that you use every single time you walk into a house that will allow you to guide a customer from beginning to end and to the close, right? As long as you do that, your results will be predictable. If you're going into the house and you allow yourself to change the way you approach it based on the situation, you will have what's called a roller coaster, right? So we'll have unpredictable results. The most important thing is understand you're the one that's in control all of the time. You have been through hundreds, thousands of presentations with other customers. This customer has only been through this presentation with you maybe 1, 2, or 3 more times. And so they don't know where this is going. It's your job to lead them in the right direction and understand that as long as you have a clear path to getting there and you show confidence, they will be following you every step on what you're saying, and you'll guide them to the decision in the right way. If you don't come across as confident, you allow the thoughts, processes, and concerns to derail your thought process and to go feed into what the customer is trying to say, where they're trying to take you. That's when you get a lot of those objections at the end. I got to think about it. We'll follow back up. Any of those things. So assuming you convey confidence, you know where you're going, and you follow all of the steps we're about to outline in the next module, then you'll find yourself closing a lot more deals in an easier way, avoiding a lot of those roadblocks. All right, guys, the first step of the presentation process is going to be a recap, and it's going to be building rapport. So as you show up to this appointment, the first thing you want to do is build rapport with your customer. And so just make them comfortable with you being around, make yourself comfortable in the situation, make a joke, familiarize yourself with the surroundings, right? Understand who's in the room. If they have a dog, I always like to pet the dog and start playing with the dog. That just makes you human and relatable. If there's a wife at the table, start speaking with the wife, make a couple jokes. Make yourself welcome in the environment. The better you can have a relationship right away and make yourself human to the customer as opposed to just a salesperson, the better your results are going to be. What you want your customer to understand is that you're there to help them and you're a person first, as opposed to just trying to push a product. As long as you have that, that will give you the leverage that you need at the very end of the sale. If you need to close or push a little bit harder, knowing that your customer, knowing that in the back of their head you're a human and you want to help them, will help you push the deal through. If you just act robotic and you don't really show any emotion or any relationship, when you're trying to actually close a deal later on, they will hurt you down the line. Once you've done building rapport, and that will be usually 30 seconds to 3 minutes, depending on the close and the situation, I would like to talk to the dog, speak with the wife, just have a couple of jokes and make yourself comfortable. I like to do a quick recap. And so whatever led to that interaction, whether it was a setter setting the deal, whether it was myself setting that deal, you want to go back on what was said and just understand what the interaction was. So if I'm showing up to a deal that was said by someone else, I will say something along the lines of, hey, I know you guys met with XYZ. What did he go through with you guys so far? Just so I know what he told you and kind of what you guys know so far. That will allow the customer to speak and you'll be able to gauge where they're at in the process, what they understand and what they don't understand, the way you can start on the right foot. Once you have a general idea of what the interaction was, you'll get to the next step, which is the pre-framing of the interaction. One very important part of the presenting process is the pre-framing. What that means is essentially just pre-framing the entire interaction to the customer and explaining to them exactly what's going to happen. This is something a lot of reps miss, and that's what costs you down the line. A lot of the times, if you don't pre-frame the interaction properly, that's what's going to cause a lot of sales to say, I got to think about it, I've got to get back to you, or great, thanks for the information, we'll talk to you later, right? And a lot of that's lack of pre-framing. What the pre-framing does is have the customer understand exactly step by step what we're going to do, create urgency, and pre-agree on an outcome, right? And so it's almost like a contract between you and your customers to where you agree on how you're going to act through the interaction. So the first number one thing you want to do is say exactly what we're going to do and what the outcome is going to be. So I'll say something along the lines of, here's exactly how this process is going to go. We're going to want to make sure that we hit X, Y, and Z and make sure that everything sounds good to you guys, and we'll make sure you guys are approved and qualified. If none of this sounds good, just let me know, and if you guys don't get approved, that's fine. We just won't do anything. Assuming everything's approved and assuming all of that sounds good to you guys, we'll just make sure we submit some paperwork and get everything rolling so we're on time with deadlines, right? Something similar along those lines. All that it really does is making sure that you and your customers are aligned, making sure that if they thought that they were just getting some info, getting a quote draft off, you want to make sure that you're seating in their head that something is happening today, and it's either going to be a yes or it's going to be a no. It doesn't need to be a yes every single time, but it will avoid all of the, I got to think about it, oh, I thought I was just getting a quote, all of these things which are a waste of your time, right? And so essentially you're just going to get your customer to agree and understand that it's either going to be a yes or a no, but it's going to be today, and you're not going to be going back. And so all you're going to say is, great, if this makes sense and everything sounds good and you guys are approved, we'll get everything moving forward. If it doesn't make sense or for any reason you don't like it, just let me know, we just want to do it. Sounds fair? Great. Customers will agree to that. Once they have agreed to that, you have them tied down, meaning at the end of everything you've done, they'll have to say yes or no. If it's no, it's a no, but it will just get out of their mind the fact that they can either think about it or follow back up with you. So that's part of it. And the second part is it will also create a lot of urgency. So you always want to have some sort of urgency into the pre-frame to make sure you tell them why we're trying to submit paperwork or what's going on. It will just create urgency on actually closing the deal. And so the main thing is you want to say, as far as the pullback or urgency, I usually say something along the lines that obviously not every home qualifies. We have to make sure that we get all the homes that qualify on time for a couple of these promotions that are ending, any of those things. But essentially you'll pull back and it will make you come across as the expert, make you come across as like you're not needy, and making sure that they know your time's valuable, you're really going to be there if it makes sense to them, and if it actually going to end up in moving forward and getting everything done. The second you understand that they're not on that same vibe, you have to be willing to walk away, right? And I always tell my customers, here's exactly what's going to happen. We'll go through everything. If it all makes sense, great. And if you guys are approved, we'll make sure you're moving forward. If it doesn't make sense, let me know. But we'll have to make sure that you guys are in on board and get everything moving forward. Great, yes. If they say no, something along the lines of, oh, I want to get a quote, I only want to think about it, we're just here to hear some information, whatever, that makes you understand that that's not your customer, you don't want to spend time there. So I will reframe it again. You might have to handle an objection or anything like that, but I will always get back to the frame. If the customer doesn't agree to the frame, I will refuse to present or move forward in the presentation, because at that point it's just a waste of your time. But every time you can get the customer in your frame and frame what you want their action to look like, then you're always going to be the one in control. They lose the leverage of saying, hey, I'll think about it, or get back to me on that. Once they've agreed to how their action is going to go, that just gives you all the leverage you need to move the deal forward and actually close it at the end. After you're done pre-framing, you will have correctly seeded into the customer the idea that today something is happening. They have to make a decision. So essentially what the pre-frame will do is make sure that you're going to get them committed to the decision. After that happens, you're going to move on to the next step, which is the discovery process. What you want to do with discovery is you want to ask the right questions to make sure that you know what situation you're dealing with. The most important thing is understanding what's going to move your customer to actually making a decision, why they haven't made a decision in the past, and what is the reason why they would make a decision. A lot of the time, I see a lot of reps making the mistake of walking into a presentation and just start speaking or start presenting or start selling. And what they will do is they will completely miss what the actual reason for the customer to buy the product is. The most important thing is the more you ask questions, the more the customers will actually tell you what they want and why they would want it. The person that asks the most questions is the person that is leading the interaction, not the person speaking. The more you can get your customer to actually do the talking and talk to you and tell you what the problems are, the better off you will be if you just listen and solve the problems that they're talking to you about. And so a lot of the basic questions I like to ask are basic things like, hey, is this the first time that you guys are sitting down for solar? Have you guys looked at it before? Why, if you looked at it before, what was the last time you looked at it? What was the main reason why you guys didn't decide to go for that at the time? All of these things, and you'll be surprised a lot of times, customers will lay all of the cards on the table as long as you ask for it. They will tell you exactly what you need to do to actually close the deal and get them to move forward. I have had so many customers where I just walk into the deal and they've sat down with somebody else a week before, 2 weeks before, a month before, and all I have to ask is sit down and actually ask questions for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, take them through this process, and they will tell me exactly why they didn't go with someone else and what they would have wanted. Right at that point, you have all the cards on the table to get them to move forward. And a lot of the times it's more simple than you think. If you just sit down and take the time to really just listen and understand what's going on in the brain, it will make it a lot easier to actually solve the right issue. And those 3 questions are going to make you understand how interested your customer is and what is it that is actually going to sell them. The 3 main questions we like to ask is, if you were to get solar, let's just assume that everything sounds good. Let's just assume that you guys are approved, qualified, and we'll get moving forward. Usually people do solar for 3 reasons, right? 1 is saving money. 2 is using more power, freedom and independence, and 3 is increasing the equity of the house.
Let's see if I can see you guys. Show me this. All right, who's getting value? Any of you veterans getting value here?
Yes, sir.
All right, how about the new people?
Yeah, it sounds good.
All right, cool. Now at the end of the day, we're still gonna keep it simple. Just collect the what is it? Peak the interest, collect the electrical, set the appointment, right? Oh, because we don't want to get too complex, but I know we want to know everything. So here it is. Just to recap on that last segment, I was asking questions on the appointment on Monday, and at the end of it, you know, they just had a presentation the Friday prior with somebody else, and they're like just on your customer service, they're like complimenting me, and all I do is just ask questions. You know, I asked them why they didn't move forward before, what are their main concerns, what are they looking for in an energy company, and just getting that understanding and them talking just makes them more appreciative instead of you just telling them what to do. And then they said, yeah, the last guy that came, I think they were talking about some flooring or some type of construction. They were telling us what to do, and we didn't like that. So yeah, it's really important. Just ask a bunch of questions, and then it's so much easier that way. My appointment later on today, I'm going to be asking a lot of questions. Here we go.
I really like what he said as well, is if you don't fit your pre-frame, to just walk away.
Yeah. Or he says you may need to handle a couple objections and then put them back in the frame. And then at that point, if you can't put them back in the frame, then walk away, right? So it goes like, get them back there. Yeah, I like it too. And again, I've heard him on stage, like talk about this stuff. And it's just a glimpse, but this is the stuff that he's charging like $2,000 or $3,000 attached with the Daddy and Pesky Tree, and we got it right here. All right, here we go. I don't want to do this chapter assessment. I've already done that. So I think we're on this one. Pull back.
One important concept that I apply to a lot of parts of the presentation is the concept of pulling back. So you'll see me do that in the pre-frame, and pulling back is essentially giving customers a way out and making it sound like You're not just trying to sell to them. Essentially, the dynamic when you're trying to sell someone or where you're in a sales presentation, the customer is going to assume that you're going to try to sell them no matter what, and they have all the power so they can make the decision if they want to move forward or not. That just has a power imbalance. If the customer thinks that you'll do whatever you can to get them to sign up and they have all the power to decide, that will just make it so there's a big barrier and you can't get through to the customer. The way to restructure that power imbalance is pullback, right? So make the customer understand that you don't necessarily care or not if they move forward. Don't come across as needy. Make them understand that you have the control in the situation to decide if they get to move forward or not. And so I like to say a lot of things as far as like, if the home qualifies, we'll make sure that we move forward. I still have to check if you guys qualify, and if it doesn't make sense at any point, we'll just let you guys know if the house isn't selected or if we just can't do it here. We'll just let you know we just won't do it. All of these things seed into the customer the idea that you're the one that's actually in control and not them, right? So a lot of the times, if somebody's being too controlling or they're asking too many questions or acting like they're the ones that are making the decision, I will always say something like, and just so you guys know, we haven't picked the house yet, so I don't know if I can even do this on you. First, I got to check these couple things to make sure you're even eligible for this. What that will do is it will trigger something in their brain to understand, hey, why am I not eligible? What do I need to do to be eligible? And they will start asking you questions that actually put you back in control of the interaction. So important thing is don't come across as needy, hold your power and make the customer understand that you are the one that's busy, that you have lots of customers, that you didn't pick them yet, and then you have to make sure that it's a good fit for them to move forward. As long as you hold that power, you will always have the leverage to go close that deal. If you make it all about the customer and you're just push, they will just run away from you. But if I'm pulling back, they will actually run towards you and you're just almost reeling them in. So you just want to make sure you're really careful about pushing too much, because a lot of times you have customers that are interested, that want to sign up, but by pushing too much and not pulling back enough, getting overexcited, you will just scare them away. And so even if somebody said, yes, I want to do solar, like I've had lots of customers and those are tricky. You walk in and they're like, hey, I want to do it. Like, I'm ready. I love solar. Those are always tricky. What a regular salesperson will do is they will say, oh, great. Yeah, here, I'll sign you up, and boom, 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 push them. And the customer at the end, they'll be like, oh, well, I actually have to think about this, right? And you just kind of scare them away. And so even if somebody's very positive from the beginning, you never want to skip the pullback. Even if they say, I want solar, let's get it done. Oh, well, we'll still got to check a couple things, make sure that you guys are actually eligible for it. So let me ask you a couple of questions and start qualifying them and pull them towards you. The more you do that, the more they will actually come to you and start asking you for your product, as opposed to you just pushing on it. So that's just the power balance, that you always want to be in the power part. You always want to have the control and have the customer coming towards you. So tie downs are something that you want to be incorporating across your process at all times. So this doesn't necessarily go step by step. It's something you want to be doing constantly the entire time. What I mean by tie downs is every 15 or 20 seconds, check in with your customers to make sure they're actually following what you're saying and to make sure that they agree with what you're saying, right? A lot of times, if you just keep speaking and talking, customers won't follow, right? You know exactly what you're talking about, but they don't. And so the more you go on and on without giving them a second or a pause or something to think about or reflect on, they won't be able to follow your entire process. And so I like to check in every 15, 20 seconds after I explain something, say, does that make sense? Or something along those lines. Does that make sense? Does that all sound okay? Every 15, 20 seconds, assuming that there's something that they have to understand. And so every time you go across an important point, you want to make sure that you tie them down, understanding they agree with you, right? And what that does is it's stacking little wins across your entire process, getting customers used to saying yes and getting them on board with you. The more you can tie them down and the more you can get them to agree that this makes sense and then they follow what you're saying and that it all sounds good. By the time you've done that 10, 15, 20 times throughout the entire process, by the time you get to the close, it's going to be only natural that they agree and get moving forward, right? It would be very unnatural for somebody to agree with you the entire time and say they understand, saying it makes sense, saying it sounds good all of the time, and then you get to the very end, you go close and they say, oh no, I don't want to do this. It'll be very unnatural for them. So what it does is stacks up the wins for you across the process to make sure that by the very end, it's only natural that they move forward. So an example of a tie down, if they say they like saving money, that's going to be what I want to focus on the entire time. Every 15, 20, 30 seconds when I talk about saving money, I'm like, and you guys said the main thing is saving money, right? That's the most important thing to you. Okay, cool. And they'll say yes, boom, and keep going forward. And then 30 seconds later, I'm like, and you guys mentioned that was the main thing. Cool, great. Does that make sense? Yes. All of these things will stuck wins, and it doesn't mean to make sense every single time, but the more you can actually interrupt and get the customers to agree, that's going to get them in the mind frame that they agree with you. It's going to get them used to following you and following your thought process, and it is going to stack wins in your favor. By the time you get to the very end, they just think it's only a matter of being natural, of agreeing with the process and moving forward on that. Question-based selling is one of the most powerful tools that you can have as a salesperson to actually be persuasive and get your customers to get to where you want them to get. What's very important to understand, and that's contrary to what you would think, is the person that's actually asking the questions is always the person that's in control of the conversation. A lot of salespeople think the more you speak and the more you're actually talking to the customer, the more you can influence them. And that couldn't be further from the truth, right? If a customer is asking you questions and you're only answering questions and talking to them, you're the one they're in control, directing the conversation, and you just can never get to where you want. So the person that asks the questions is the person that directs the entire conversation. The most important thing is getting the customers to get to where you want them to get by asking them questions as opposed to you telling them things. What you need to understand is, in the eyes of a customer, at least at the beginning, you are a salesperson. But a lot of the time, the entire process along, they see you as a salesperson. And so a lot of the things you say or you tell them, they will take with a grain of salt. And so if you can actually ask the right question to get them to answer and convince themselves that they came up with that idea, as opposed to you telling them the idea, it will make it a lot more powerful. There is a different thing between me saying, I'm assuming you guys like saving money, and just telling them, or asking. And then you guys said, what was the most important reason why you guys wanted to look at solar? Oh, because we want to try to save money. Those are two different ways to say the same thing, but they're just very different. There's a lot of different ways to go about it, and you can get creative with the questions that you ask. What you want to understand is, you don't want to tell your customer what to believe. You want them to ask a question and then have them come up with the answer that already tells them what they want to believe. What that will do at the very end of the conversation, at the very end of the presentation and of the sale, customers will think they came up with that idea and it was their idea and their thought process all day long. It's natural that they sign up for solar because they thought it was right the entire time. I could have said the same thing myself the entire process and just told them the same things, but it would have not had the same effect and the same persuasion and the same convincing because of the fact that I said it. If I can just ask questions and let customers speak and talk and tell me things, they will think it's their idea and they will perhaps agree with that because they'll never go against what they said. So it just makes your process a lot more powerful and just your influence ability a lot more powerful. And you want to use questions to also understand what the needs are, what the pain points are, what the goals are, so you can direct the conversation and the different questions as you see fit. The more you ask questions, the more you get them to talk, customers will lay down their cards and they will tell you exactly what you need to say to actually sell them and get them to move forward. If you never ask the right questions, they will never tell you, and you might spend 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour battling an objection that is not even the right objection to battle. So if you just stop, ask, and use your ears and listen, that will actually lead you to what you need to say and where you need to lead them to actually close the deal.
I have a question for everyone. Does anybody remember the 3 questions that he asked? Like, if you were to get solar and move forward and everything made sense, and if approved, qualified, there's 3 reasons why people go solar. The first one was like saving money, more energy. Does anybody remember the third one?
Saving money. Well, what was it? Saving money.
Increasing the
control and predictability, and increasing equity in the home.
Equity. All right, cool. Thanks, bro. Let's get back to this. Probably got 1 or 2 more videos and then we'll get out of here.
So now you got through the entire process. You've gone through all of the steps of the introduction, pre-framing, discovery, presentation, everything. Now you're getting to the close. What's very important to know is the close should be the most natural, easy flow part of the entire sale. If you've done your job properly, all across, and you've done all of the steps the right way, and you got your customers to agree with you, you've pulled back, you created urgency, you understood their needs, you did everything properly, the close should be the easiest part of the entire interaction. So a lot of the times people think having this closing line, having this magic line that you will see at the very end will get you the customers, or saying this specific thing will magically close deals. And while words and techniques are powerful, it's very important to understand that all of the closing is done all along. ABC, always be closing, right? So throughout your entire process, you're actually going to be seeding the close, pre-framing the close. Throughout your entire tie downs, you'll have the customer agree and understand that they are getting closed before you even get to this part. So the close should be the most natural thing in your entire process. So by the time you're done, it should be a no-brainer. What I like to frame after I finish my entire presentation, I like to present the scenarios, as you guys have seen before in the presentation video. And I will, like, before I even pull out my actual numbers and before I actually tell them what the numbers are, I like to pre-agree to something to where if it makes sense, we'll move forward. And so that makes it make sense to where you will never go close and actually get a no. If you frame this properly, you will only go to the close when you already know you have a yes. That avoids all of those objections that you get after if you've done everything properly in the front end. And so what I usually like to say is something along the lines of, I've finished the presentation and I've told them roughly what we're looking at and what the goal is and what numbers they're looking at, but they haven't given them anything specific. And I will go, okay, now, it sounds like everything makes sense so far. Do you guys have any questions, concerns, or anything else on what I've just explained? And usually if you've done the job right, they'll be like, no, it all makes sense. If they have a concern, they will ask you what the concern is and you can address it. After that, I'm like, all right, great. So as I said, I don't know if everything makes sense yet. I don't know if you guys are qualified still. So I'll just run a couple of things to make sure that you guys are actually eligible, and I'll run the actual numbers for you. So I'll make sure it all makes sense. But let's just assume that everything I just told you here is good. Let's assume you guys are actually qualified, and let's just assume that everything checks out on basically what I tell you. Is there any other reason that would keep you from doing this, assuming all of these things I just said are what's gonna happen? What that does, and the customer will say no. If you've done the job right, the customer usually will say, no, it all makes sense so far. At that point, I know they have pre-agreed to the sale, to the close, they're sold, and then I can get into my actual numbers and close. If I don't get an agreement on that, I will never move into the close until I've readdressed everything else. So once you get to this point, it's very, very important. You do not go to the close if they didn't agree that everything else makes sense, and assuming they're approved and assuming the numbers actually check out, they're gonna move forward. Once you have that agreement, you can move forward. If you don't, you have to circle back in your process, go back to your presentation, go back to wherever you got stuck and address their concerns. Now you will circle back, and let's say you had to address a concern, you will go back, you readdress the concern, and assuming that was cleared, and does that make sense? Assuming that was cleared, and assuming all of these numbers I told you are true, and assuming you guys are approved, which I'll check in a second, is there any other reason why this wouldn't make sense? Is that all clear? At that point, I'll say, no, it's clear. Okay, great, let me move forward. And at that point, once you have them, I always like to pull in a pullback. As we said before, pullback is very powerful, especially when customers are coming towards you. So what I will say is something along the lines of, great, everything looks good. Let me just run some numbers to make sure we can actually get you guys approved. I'll pull out my iPad, I'll go back to my proposal, adjust all of the numbers to make sure they match what I've already told them they were going to be. I will run the pre-approval and get them approved. But at that time, the deal is already closed. After they've agreed to it, and after I have the numbers adjusted, then they've already said that assuming everything makes sense, they're ready to go with it. So I already know the deal is done. At that point, I'm just getting into assumption mode, meaning I get the numbers done, I show them what the numbers are, I will present everything, which is gonna match what I've already told them, and I will assume the close all the way. If you've pre-framed everything properly and if you've tied them down properly and they've already agreed with you that it made sense, assuming those were the numbers and assuming they were approved, once you run the qualification, you say, great, you guys are approved, awesome. Here's the numbers exactly. It's pretty similar to what we already told you guys about. Actually, it was a little bit lower. Let's just get it moving forward, fill out some paperwork, and make sure you guys are good to go. At that point, I'll just assume the close, start filling out their informations and get them moving forward, because that's just natural paperwork, right? That's already assumed. And so assuming everything else was done properly, you will not get somebody to go back and be like, well, actually, I got to think about it, or actually, this is my concern, or actually, let me talk to my wife. If you've done your job properly, that should have all been addressed before. Just remember, obviously, you can always handle objections. We have a whole module on that, so refer to that and how to handle the objections. But doing the whole process properly will eliminate 95% of objections after the close. You should be fishing out all of the objections, getting all of the concerns, getting all of the problems out before you actually get to closing, showing the numbers, and getting the paperwork done. If you get an objection after you've already given the numbers, after you've already told them they're approved, and after you've already done your entire presentation, the leverage that you have to go address that objection and actually close the deal is a lot lower. You've already given them everything. They know how much it is, they know the price, they know what the pre-approval is, they know they have it. If they give you an objection after, it's going to be a lot harder. If you can fish all of these objections before, and you already know what their concerns are, you actually have the opportunity to address all of those concerns in your presentation. By the time the presentation is over, you will make sure that those are cleared by saying, hey, we explained everything. Is there any other questions, concerns, or anything else that you guys want to go through, or this is all cleared? Awesome, this is all cleared. You've assumed them all. At that point, you can close. Saying, assuming all of this is cleared, we'll check if you guys are approved and qualified, or look at the final numbers. Assuming those numbers match, we'll just get you moving forward. Cool. And like, yeah, usually it's always a yes. You will not run into a lot of objections assuming you do that. That's very important. Do not move to the close until you know for a fact that you have it and until you can match those numbers. As long as you do that, the close will flow naturally and you'll be able to fill out the paperwork and close a lot easier.
All right, everybody. All right, that's gonna be it for today. Let me just see how many more modules are left on this particular presentation training. I guess it's just one more, but out of respect for everyone's time, we'll end it now. Can we all agree that we have all the tools to be a successful setter, closer, like for solar? Like, we have all the tools here to be successful. Can we all agree?
100%. I can agree 100%.
This is like a huge eye opener for me. You know, seeing every week that I do a different module, I'm like, damn, I wish I knew this shit sooner. Anyways, any questions before we get off?
No, that was fire, bro. Thanks for always bringing this to the forefront. It makes me, every time after this class, I'm like, okay, I start digging into our back office a little bit more.
That's right. Yeah, man, I feel the same way. All right, cool, guys. You know, obviously this is what do you call it? What is it like? Is it product knowledge? This is learn knowledge, right? We don't want to keep on doing learn knowledge because you're never going to get anything. So you want to do your learn knowledge, you want to get activity knowledge, and then back to learn knowledge and just learn it all again. But without the activity knowledge, no one's ever going to grow. So don't forget, get that activity in. Make 5 phone calls every day. It's nothing. Make 5 phone calls, or what was Johnny talking about earlier? He said 10 pages of the book. Like, damn, I don't got time to read, but I think I can read 10 pages. I think we call 5 people a day. Call 5 people a day. That's like, I don't know, 5 times 7. That's like 35 in a week. For some people, that's 35 more people they didn't call last week. And then the following week, you know, you do 7, do 10, and that's how we're all gonna grow together. So let's keep it up. See you all tomorrow at 12. Hopefully, you know, we work hard.
Thank you.
Peace.
Yes, sir. Thank you, David. Let's get after it.